Just edit this part out. Hi everybody, my name is Stewart Mendez. I'm the current Texas Poet Laureate for 2022, and I think kind of 2023. Like my term ends in May. If the if the legislature is a little slow, so we'll figure out whatever. Thank you for joining me. This is the fourth installment of 6. I have I'm super thankful that 18 poets from across the state of Texas have been super willing and gracious with their time and energy to join me across 6 different readings in the year. Every single reading has been a total treasure with a different set of poets that I have the opportunity to read with and showcase and uplift and provide platform for. And I love every single minute of it. This evening will be no different, but also super unique. So joining me this evening are 3 of Texas's shining poets, Ebony, Stewart, Rodney Gomez, and Laurie and Guerrero. We are here to give you some poetry, and if you are seeing this recording later, also to provide you with classroom resources for your educational needs. Link. Okay, that said, the rule for the night is all these poets are gonna read their work. Everyone gets about 20 minutes or whatever they feel like reading for length of time. I will interject with like 1 or 2 pieces. We'll have a great conversation, and that should be the reading in a nutshell. I really hope you enjoy this opportunity. Thank you, Ebony. Thank you, Lorianne. Thank you, Rodney. Y'all are amazing and have better backgrounds than my Katrina in the background. So we could get going. I'm going to read all the bios, and then we can get straight to the reading, and then we get to do this work. So beginning with Rodney Gomez is a poet and urbanist whose work explores the intersection of the natural and built environments, culture, and history in the U.S./Mexican borderland. A member of the Macondo Writers Workshop, he served as the 2020-2021 McAllen Texas Poet Laureate. He is the author of Arsenal with Praise Song, Orson Books 2021, winner of the Helen C. Smith Memorial Award for Best Book of Poetry from the Texas Institute of Letters, recipient of the Writers League of Texas Book Award, and a finalist for the Balcones Prize, Geographic Tongue, Pleiades Press 2020, winner of the Pleiades Press Visual Poetry Series, Ceremony of Sand, Yes, Yes Books 2019, winner of the Writers League of Texas Discovery Prize, Citizens of the Mausoleum, Sundress Publications 2018, finalist of the John A. Robertson Award, I got that one too, and Mouth Filled with Night, Northwestern University Press 2014. Winner of the Drunken Gourd Chapbook Prize for Northwestern University's Poetry and Poetics Colloquium. Did I say that right? I think I said that right. His other honors include the Gloria Sandua Prize, the Rene Arroyo Prize, the Orison Anthology Award, and Rhino's Editors Prize. His work appears in Poetry, New England Review, the Gettysburg Review, Denver Quarterly, Rattle, North American Review, Verse Daily, Poetry Daily, and other journals. He is at work on a new manuscript of poems, visual poetry, and lyrical essays supported by a Yale Mellon Arts and Practitioner Fellowship and a DeGroot Foundation grant. Thank you, Rodney, for being here. Ebony Stewart is an international touring, interdisciplinary poet, writer, and performance artist. Her work speaks to the Black experience and emphasis on gender, sexuality, womanhood, queer positivity, and race, with the hopes to be relatable, remove shame, heal minds, encourage dialogue, and inspire folks in marginalized communities. As one of the most decorated poets in Texas, Ebony is a respected coach and mentor, one of the top touring poets in the country, amen to that, and a Woman of the World Poetry Slam champion. The mental health advocate and former sexual health educator also has a master's in social work, and is soon to be the hood's favorite therapist. As a playwright, Ebony's one-woman show Hunger and Ocean have received B. Ida Payne Awards and the David Mark Cohen New Play Award. She is the author of Blood Fresh, Homegirlhood, and Love Letters to Bald Fists. Her work has been featured in Button Poetry, Afropunk, For Harriet, Teen Vogue, The Texas Observer, Houston Public Media, and Haymarket's Breakbeat Poets Volume 2, Black Girl Magic, and more. She is the only poet to perform at the 2018 Seattle Pride Festival before 200,000 individuals. Laurie Guerrero was born and raised on the south side of San Antonio. She's the author of 4 collections, including A Tongue in the Mouth of the Dying, Notre Dame, 2013, A Crown for Gumincindo, Atzalan Libre, 2015, and I Have Eaten the Rattlesnake, New and Selected Poems, from Texas Christian University, 2021. She served as Poet Laureate of San Antonio from 2014 to 2016, and the Texas Poet Laureate from 2016 to 2017. She is an associate professor and the writer in residence at Texas A&M University, San Antonio, which is a really great place. Ebony and Laurie, thank y'all both so much. Rodney, thank you again. So reading for the evening, everybody's going to wow us with all the great things. I will interject with like one piece in the beginning and one piece in the end, because sneaky, it's all about y'all. So I will read a poem that I haven't really read out loud and I haven't gotten published anywhere, and I was considering putting it in a collection, so we'll see. What a breakup looks like. Cuando tronaron. A 10-year-old peek's keyhole curiosities. Appendages blur past his bedtime. He asks his apa why Tio Raimundo is here. Has moved into his room, visits with ladies, won't go home warm with Tia Gloria. She cries on the phone terribly, cold. Tells his apa sleeping on the sofa is fine, knows now what a woman is. Naked, her chichis uncovered, won't slumber with all the noise, sees all the ladies, remind him of Tia, spend the night. They never hello or goodbye, and he wonders if Tio's goloso plate is as empty as his plática. We begin the evening. Thank y'all. We begin the evening with Rodney. And so we go from here.
Awesome. Thank you, Lupe. It's an honor to be reading with you and Ebony and Laurie. I admire your work. And so, yeah, it's great to be a part of this and part of the whole Texas RoadShow program. So I'm going to read a few poems from my book, Arsenal with Praise Song, which is the most recent book that's out. And then I'm going to read a couple of newish pieces. So just a little bit of background about the book. So it started as like this long ekphrastic poem based on the art of this artist named Alfredo Bustinza, who's from Brownsville, Texas, which is my hometown. And I was really like enthralled by his work, just really became obsessed with it. He's not well known. He's not really even known in Brownsville, but I was just so captivated by his work that I wanted to write about him. And so I wrote, a collection's worth of poems, just ekphrastic. So it was about his paintings. And then I got to know a little bit about his life, his just the circumstances of his life. And it was a little chaotic, as most great artists' lives are. And then I got to really thinking about the circumstances surrounding his death. So he was actually stabbed at a bar in Brownsville. He had previously helped somebody, another patron there, and he helped them avoid some violent confrontation. And as an act of revenge, he sort of got pulled into that, and he was murdered. And so I got to thinking about violence and the circumstances surrounding not only his, what seemed like a random instance of violence, but also just violence in general, different instantiations of violence in Brownsville and the Rio Grande Valley, and then the border. So I really started thinking about this meditation of violence in its different forms. And so that's what the book became. So it started at one point, and then it became something completely different. So one day I'll get back to the Bustinza book, the ekphrastic book, the book about paintings. But this one is really just a prolonged meditation on violence. And so that's what a lot of these poems are about. So I'm going to read the first 2 poems in the book, and then just randomly read a couple of other poems from the book. And then, as I mentioned, a couple of newish poems. Okay, so this one's called Warbler. Another body and another body slipping like tongue from the river's lip. Unending Om with dirty feet. Then the names stumbling one by pigeon-toed one out of the ark. Then the family names and how they drilled into bone and how they illuminated the bone, preparing it for knowing. My father emerging like two staghorns where rags could be hung for drying. My mother carrying me in her armpit like a third breast. In the distance, a rake, a spade, a void to be exploited and made into a bigger void. The agents having covered their heads with mirrors to reflect. Names taggers used to sign their infiltrations, names mothers used to cling votaries. I snagged bonnets from clothesline to make a wall out of frayed thread as tyrants do. I warbled an incantation to fill wine jugs. I could have resurrected the names moored in silt. Instead, I became vellum, a garbled history, and how we stepped from one noose into another. I heard my brother, his gun-down body draped over a pillow, his face a gourd I could no longer drink from, and how I said, his needle-filled chest open to the world, you could have been almost anyone. History of water. Because a river is history, a drink of water releases herds slaughtered for their sunbursts, uncovers an archive of spectral ceremony, all previous breakings, previous invisibilities, brown muscle coaxing concrete from dirt, roads and highways and conjuntos. Before there were tractors, there were men to ride horses and men to use the land to become electric. Before the present idiom, another idiom, and before that idiom, dawn, and all syllables breaking. Work gloves and their bones long pulverized, we carry their dust inside our bodies. A field requires nourishment, water, sunspell, a nape squelched of its ecstasy. All things require nourishment. A saucer of wine placed at the foot of the horse in any illustration of St. Martin of Tours will disappear. Without food, the body consumes itself. First the fat, then the tinsel of muscle, then the organs, then the bones, until only the trace of the body remains, then recollection of that. Today, the election of amnesiacs. Tomorrow, the same hunger. Tomorrow, the same wound without seal. First, teach the servants that they themselves are served, then lose them in brush. Drizzle water in 100 degrees to find the way in. From anywhere in the world, you can find the way to the shrine of Don Pedrito Jaramillo by counting miscarriages tangled in cactus and guajillo. Don Pedro cúrame, Don Pedro saca la espina. From anywhere in the world, you can see how the ticks in the brush are still terribly engorged with the blood of horses. And let me find this next poem. Give me 1 second here. I was originally going to read straight from the book, but my eyesight is not cooperating with me. So I'm reading from the screen. Okay, this is called Instructions for the Last Breath, and it's after Julio Cortázar. Accept how the body is only a dream, the last breath a fuse, and whatever instructions you gave to yourself are illegible for the next seedling. And that's my daughter. Repose, gullet of a traveler silenced into Candelia by another traveler who considers him prey. A mound of refugees, their luster leached away, even want evaporated, sore without healing. Is there a next life or is there ore? When you place your hand on the grass of your mother's grave, do you feel a pulse or the voles turning dirt for their homes? It helps to remember how the body is just a vessel. As the rifle spittle tears through a buck's gentle head, it opens a doorway. Do you believe a rib can play timpani in the future desert? Are you satisfied with silence? Are you truly satisfied with silence? Repose, my lover's open chest stuffed with wild ribbons of remorse, ball cactus, stillborn child, a river overwhelmed. except how eventually you will only have been the evidence of tunnels but no drill. The moon will accept you as one of its own. Instead of hands, use your absence as prayer if there's need. This is called the Annunciation. Sometimes there's no explanation for the way the hand mimics a jackal, and how it skulks, and how it hungers, how a howl concludes the sputtering nature of an incomplete machine. The lost often don't know they're lost, nor does the air. A home doesn't revolt when its walls are used for pantomime. Thieves do not gather at fontanels to plot what they'll ransack. Silence pulls an agonal gasp from purloins. Children aren't burrs you can give back to the brush. Death is so accustomed to walking them to the orphanage that it calls itself a hand. There is no scar if the wound is lit by a candle. There is no wound if the knife is called threshold. Sometimes the monster is the act that falls short of an ending. The windowless room mocks a womb radiant with the labor of birth. What expunges the most contagious form of ghost? How many gardens before the alley is indifferent, before the room smoke finally clears? Story about a glacier. What I won't tell you is how I became a flute and brushed against lips, but there was no music when the blows fell furious as juniper. There were days when I was a parachute and the wind was free but kind. I won't lie and say there were no such days. There were days when I bawled into hailstone and pretended it was only breezing outside, another man's music. Eventually, the need to unfurl overcame the need to stay moored. Tsunami greeted me in its maw. I have its smell all about me, but it dwindles every day. What I won't tell you is how I escaped. One day, I met a map at a bar. It pointed to a gash on its head and said I could get there by becoming someone else. Most of me was still scrawled on a carpet under a belt. What was there to lose that I hadn't already lost? Alone in the middle of the night, the road smelled like freshly sawed mesquite. I wormed my way out. A buckle still loomed in the background, and I told myself repeatedly, there is no gleam. And this is called Then the Hand in the Act of Violence. I spoke even with my throat cut. During the revolution of my body, I took tweezers to my face in desperate reconstruction. Later, a box cutter slid through my arms just so. I always carried a self-destruct button, wrinkled dusters, scuffed rain boots. Sometimes I whispered love into the ears of ingrates. I opened my flaps to the vice cop. He said he couldn't hear my pleas. Afterward, I was reflected in red tide. He barked, pick up your teeth, there's no littering here. When I sewed a jet to my back, you warned me against flight, called me ostrich, called me auk. Nevertheless, feathery hands prayed me into sky. You took a garrote and sawed off the engine, named me shipwreck, forced a crater into me, and I filled it up. In my heart, I cradled an arrow squid, fed its growing arms. I invited anaquita and sailfish. When I flew, you tore the wings apart and threatened war. I glued them back. Don't you know how blood becomes kerosene under the fist? Call back the kestrels who pull fish hooks from twilight, defeated as old curtains, plunging without ceremony. Call the people who lose all connection to their violence as if an alien hand suddenly took root at the wrist and plucked out the responsible nerves. Hold them responsible for transmutation, snub nose into bullet, bile into dissolve. Do you believe in the soul? Then you must believe inevitably in hesitation marks. Slowly, light slunk out, picked lesions from my bruised body, bit by sinewy bit. Its balloon throat called warning, called defeat. Scars, they never disappeared, a permanent palimpsest, and wounds require no unmasking. The mystery is how a needle cut from the same bone as your body darts easily from one of you to another, and all of them bound, and all of them imperfect. What my absent father did not understand was, what my mother did not understand was, what my broken larynx did not understand was, what my Bible did not understand was, what my endocrinologist did not understand was, what the cashier did not understand was, what the dusk did not understand was, what the caracaras did not understand was, what the ashtray did not understand was, what the blues guitar did not understand was, what the confessional did not understand was, what my lover did not understand was, what the support group did not understand was, what the newspaper salesman did not understand was, what the Iraqi war vet did not understand was, what the weather did not understand was, what my cloistered heart did not understand was, what the workload did not understand was, what the dishes did not understand was, the leash is infinite. I am making an excuse for the combustible version of myself, wobbling skip of fire, who transmuted retraced steps into kindling. I bore one daughter, two bloodhounds, and slates scarred with knuckles. Who was I appeasing, or was the hand of God engineering itself ferociously out of the void? And I'll finish with two recent poems. So the project that I'm working on now, I guess, builds on that last collection. So Lupe mentioned that I'm an urbanist, so I'm thinking a lot about the structured environment, the built environment, the way cities are constructed, and the infrastructure inside cities. And I'm especially concerned with like how buildings and things contain history in them, even if not in the typical way we think that like bodies contain histories or trauma. And so I'm especially focused on like the borderlands and things like La Matanza and related events. So these poems are part of a new project and a new series. So this first one is called The Desert Cold. A person by weight could be mesquite in its fully flowered state, whether felled or fastened a sapling to stake, whether used for its limbs' easy noose. The body gives full freight to the soil, and the soil takes it through gap teeth. 2 potato sacks of buffalo head nickels, half again a pound of salt, which must have wrung the neck like an earthly halo just before a final breath. Too little body for the pale sap of milk inside, enough to carve a sash of skin against a spidery bush, claiming back what it gave when a nearby star last flared. A lake of ash, what the sun will do, connective to soften and structure an animal, to grieve the animal's absence, as a wreath grieves polished pine. Nothing or air without mass, most invisible. That thing which in the desert cold is least missed, and by its lack of heft, the last to go. Grace. At the end of the year, I empty my bank account. I want to give something to the people trying to get by and something to the people who are cold tonight or a little lost. My cousin hangs out in a factory wilderness, cutting his hands on a meat hook. He has a skiff on his wrist where I stabbed him once out of spite and for a girl. If my knife had been more cunning, I would have ruptured a major artery, sentenced him to a room without windows and a persistent entrance sign. At the start of the year, I have the urge to exit the world like my father did those many years ago when the moon seemed to me the way God punished the night. Some tired people, when faced with the enormity of their deaths, take solace in earning a paycheck. What cures hunger? Not fraternity, not the cold of Christmas. It must be something like warped chrome inside a hulking engine, a Hail Mary caught with the grace of a dough, or the dough bisected and spread on butcher block, the way a little stomach beams with fullness, but only in complete ignorance of the mockery that preceded the plate. Thank you.
Rodney, I love you. Rodney, what the hell? That I literally started quoting lines and putting it in the chat. Oh my, sir, 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 sir. Brilliant, brilliant work. And thank you.
Thank you, Lupe.
Oh, this is why I do stuff. Is on camera. Okay. Yay. Thank you, Rodney, for that. And then now we shift gears. And Ebony, I love you.
I love you, Hermano. Okay, listen, first of all, before I can do anything, I just definitely need to say that, Rodney, like, are you trying to end us all? Are you
Correct.
trying to?
Correct.
Okay. Because
No,
I think baby
that's how I'm feeling. You aren't the only one. Oh.
I just need to do this recap because I had to write it down. I spoke with my throat cut during the revolution of my body. What is that? Okay. Well, let me go on and read my little 3 poems, honey, because I am honored.
You're brilliant.
Thank you, darling. I am honored to be able to read with you all and alongside my peers, and just, what's wild is that I was kind of like not in a good mood earlier today. It was like, my depression was depressing. And so this has already been very fulfilling. So thank you for lifting my spirits, actually. I kind of wanted to reach back a little bit on poems that I haven't had a chance to share in a long while, or that I never actually have read outside of what it was created for, which was for Hunger, the first one woman show that I put up. And it actually stemmed, this poem called Shopping While Hungry, stemmed from a writing prompt that is actually a grounding technique. But what I do is I ask everyone that is part of the workshop to write down 5 things that they can see, 4 things that they can touch, 3 things that they can hear, 2 things they can smell, and 1 thing that they can do. And so if you have any type of substitutes that you need to make for your own self, please do that. It could definitely be things that you like the sound of, if you're having any, hearing issues or sight, issues, but things that you like to look at. But it's supposed to be for things that are happening right then and there where you are. And so I'll explain more about the writing prompt after I read it. Again, it's called Shopping While Hungry. Be honest. Salt, pepper. Tell that one person you love them but cannot be a distraction for them right now. 3 carrots. Y'all sound good together. Grab 1 more carrot. Shit, even look good together. Spicy too. 1 green chili, but we've all seen dishes whose looks don't match its taste. 1 celery stalk, 3 potatoes. Ain't even fully learned how to love yourself though. 1 can Hunt's roasted tomatoes. Sound crazy. Demanding love from somebody else though. 48-ounce beef broth. Your heart is a measuring cup, but you keep telling yourself you don't measure up portions. I gotta live here. Beef tips. Gotta take all this home to live with me. When you cooking, you expected to feed somebody. Let them sit at your table. Let them eat from every clean dish you got Tupperware, but ain't never no leftovers. Italian dressing, eat alone. They call you boring or lonely. It's sad here. Keep telling yourself you ain't enough company to keep. 15 items or less, self-check flour. Gotta protect myself. I'm a woman that come with a whole lot of flavor. You tasty girl, damn girl, you delicious. You got all kind of seasoning. Put your whole foot and the kitchen sink in. Taste so good, make you want to slop you up with a biscuit, stupid. 15 items or less, got a line now. You ain't bring nobody with you to the store, so you gotta wait in the back of the line now. Stupid. Practice patience, practice forgiveness. You ain't gotta want everybody that wants you back now. You'll get what you deserve. Self-check. Speak positivity into your life now. Ice cream. You sweet enough, girl. But what if you want something thick and sweeter than the savory plantains you got at home now? Damn. What go good with aches? A watering tongue? A sweet tooth? You be a glutton for punishment? Maybe you should just get some frozen yogurt. You know you've been trying to watch your weight. You know you've been trying to fit into that dress. You know you ain't got nowhere to wear that dress to anyway. Girl, where you learn to forget yourself like that? Where you learn shame like that? Shit. You need to have a garage sale. You need to get rid of some of this shit. 15 items or less self-check. You need to remember you cost more than all this shit. Your love is worth more than the things that tried to buy you. You know what your problem is? You treat self-worth like junk food. Substitute those tears for cran apple juice. This looked like a house that would have some cran apple juice. Substitute, I'm sorry, for I'll do better. Substitute, let me talk, to listen to me, please. Instead of, I want this to work, say, I honestly just don't want to waste my time sacrificing my heart while giving away my body while you get my peace. Damn, it's exhausting being with you tonight. I'm cooking something yummy for myself tonight. I'm gonna quit going hungry, feed the craving tonight. I'm gonna make sure I'm full. So the actual prompt in itself is a grounding technique, and you go through the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and actually taking breaths. But as writers, what you often can do with that prompt is actually, change it into 5 things you can see, 4 things you can touch, 3 things you can hear, 2 things you can smell, and 1 thing you can do. Of course, you can alter that however you like. The writing prompt in itself is that after you have the different things that you've identified, is you turn them into something else, right? So I'll give you an example from the poem. There was a line about 1 can hunts roasted tomatoes, right? And that actually was me paying homage to my heart. The idea of a heart being in a can and it also being a roasted tomato just was interesting to me. So if you want to play with that, you can. That's just how my brain works, but it definitely is from Hunger. And again, it's a poem that I don't get to read nearly as much as I want to. And I think it's also like very honest how we come to our work, how we come to be human beings. We compartmentalize things. We always have multiple things going on. I know that Lupe wears multiple hats, right? And so as we come to the writing, it's very hard to leave everything that's happening. And so I definitely wanted to just be in the grocery store, do my grounding technique, and make a poem out of it. So have fun with that. I should also mention that Hunger is also a one-woman show that speaks about my relationship to my father. And so it's like this whole big thing. And I'm hoping later when we talk and we chat and everything, I can tell you other stuff that I'm working on, right? But there's another poem that I have called Wash. And again, just remember, I am literally focusing on like 3 poems that I either don't ever get to read or have never read, if that makes sense. So Wash is actually after Jamaica Kincaid's Girl. If you don't know who Jamaica Kincaid is, please, friends, Google, get all of the books. She a beast, okay? But yeah, she writes oftentimes about, being from the islands and what that means for her as a girl, and you know how it is. If you're a person who has had to live in different nations, maybe you understand, or grew up as an immigrant or have parents that are immigrants, you understand completely what it's like. But this poem actually is me trying to understand the idea of pure, and what pure can actually mean when I think about it in terms of my own family and generational roots and things like this of Jamaican and Creole, and just all around hood people, you know what I mean? So you'll see that come through. This is Wash. Wash your clothes on Sunday so you could be clean for the week. Wash your body every day. You want to smell good, don't you? This is what pure looks like. Pure has nothing to do with color. Pure is clean, feeling whole. Watch how you play with boys. Boys become men. Men know how to make you dirty, make you less than. Don't play those games. Pure is clean, feeling whole. You want to smell good, don't you? If I can smell you, that's a problem. What happened? You carry sewage in your pum pum. You let your curry go bad. This is how you wash. This is how you wipe. This is what baby powder smells like, what roses smell like, what pineapples taste like. You want to taste good, don't you? You want to be sweet, don't you? This is how you use cocoa butter, yes, for your hair, yes, in between your toes. This is how smooth feels. This is how you shine. You should always shine pure, has nothing to do with color. This is how you keep a house. Dishes should be well scrubbed. Floors streaked and vacuumed. Open the curtains so you can see your garden. Are you maintaining your garden? Are your windows clear? Can you see across the street? Fluff those pillows for backs, wipe the dust away. You don't want everything to look old, like you never have company, like you live in a shoe. There's potpourri, incense, burn candles. Something good is cooking. Is it gumbo? Something hot should just be coming out of the oven. This is how you keep a house. This is how you lock a door. Say, who is it before you open it? Look through the peephole before you open it. How does your heart feel? Check your breathing. You don't have to open it if you don't want to. Warm blood, cold hands. The most comfortable step forward is cotton, is clouds, is easy. Rock sway steady that boat. This is how safe feels. This is what calm looks like. Are you worried? Look in the mirror. Do you know your worth? Check the skin on your forearms. Goosebumps ain't always a good thing. The door, your heart, your legs, you don't have to open them if you don't want to. This is how you say no. Suck your teeth. Roll your eyes. Say, what you want from me now? Make your body stiff, your hands a fist. Flip your heart on its other side. This is how you make someone go away, but you may want what you want. The heart always wants what it wants. So this is how you make someone stay. Smile with your right shoulder. Smiles, girl. Be fierce and sure, humble, a mystery. Make your arms a bundle. Have banana bread ready. Have warm milk and apple cider ready. All these things should be fresh. You should taste fresh, pure as clean. Feeling whole. This is how you let someone in. Only tell your stories. Don't tell someone else's stories. You're not allowed to tell stories that aren't your own business. You might want to keep that too. Don't be that woman. That woman has a hard time knowing her worth. This is how you stay present. This is what honesty looks like, what the truth feels like on your lips and your tongue. You want to be trusted, right? You want to keep your peace, right? Have hands people can give things to. There's a difference between listening and speaking. Know when to do which, girl. Hold your head, girl, please. Don't entertain everything. Don't be a gossip girl. Don't be that woman. That woman has a hard time knowing her worth. Wash your body every day. You want to smell good, don't you? Pure has nothing to do with color. Pure is clean, feeling whole. Now ask me how to be sexy. The idea is that I would then like go into a poem about how to feel sexy and like what sexy means to me, because I'm also in a very complicated relationship with my body and how I see myself in its sensuality that has nothing to do with like sex, right? But just like feeling good and sexy. I don't know, maybe I don't have body image issues, but that's y'all's business. But yeah, so this last poem, I'm super like kind of anxious and nervous to read. It's a very, very new poem, and I've only read it to a very small group of friends at a table once.
I love it. New shit. I love it.
Oh no. Okay. All right. Well, so I'll say this. There's this idiomatic phrase called good grief. Have y'all ever heard someone say, oh, good grief? Like, I don't really understand these type of phrases and terms. And so I I wanted to write about it, and it seemed on brand for good grief, because a lot of people know my father passed away this year, June 2022. And so I've been really like trying to write about like fatherless daughters and what those relationships are like. And also this is the longest I've given myself to grieve anything, right? And so I want to honor myself. I'm going to read it for like all these people where right now it just feels like it's, you know, the four of us. So that's cool. But I'm sure there are people that are chiming in and saying all kind of things. And I just appreciate you all being here with us, whether you're watching now or later. Everything that was once moving has turned to glue. I am holding the phone closely. I am stuck listening for someone to tell me something that can't be true. They say he died in his sleep. And somehow, only then for a moment is it true, my father, the survivor and the failure. Good memories are happening and escaping in pieces. You weren't always here when you were able to be here. How dare you also get to die in peace too? I've been sitting in the same position for hours without moving. Oh, good grief. Tell me, what next should I do? Death travels quickly. The phone won't stop ringing. People are immediately sorry, clogging my lines with condolences and concern, then despair and inappropriate questions, asking when, asking how, asking why, asking what are we planning to do with the body, and I don't know. I'm just a little girl whose daddy been gone. How is it I'm experiencing a new grief for a loss I've already never healed from? My last text, hey dad, just checking on you. I love you, sent without response. This another time where the little girl does not get what she has always wanted. Oh, good grief. There is a grace in denial, a never repaired, a void forever to claim. For this, the first man I ever loved and the most recent to completely let me go. I am listening to my father on a voicemail recording. I am replaying his laugh and stories over and over, my grief in the background going down with the sun I drink. So my suffering is not done in silence. I boil instead of shedding, swallow a sob story and dare the inner child to come undone. I am my father's daughter, the strongest one he made and only his second born. I've accomplished so much. I've only ever wanted him to see it, wanted him here, front and center, in the audience. Any audience would do, applauding, cheering. I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you. So if he was gonna leave this time and never come back, he could have at least told me that too. I closed my fist and punched the air furiously. I've never felt this type of rage unfold. My restless and disillusioned body in a chokehold, this urgent and irreplaceable feeling, whatever stage I'm in, oh good God, grief is winning. When planning a memorial service, you have to consider everyone. And it doesn't matter if you've never planned a life event like this one before. Dead parents know the daughters will find language and money, will save face and face their fraught beliefs, believing that death is so final it doesn't fix anything. Will practice changing tenses and listen to well-meaning people tell stories about a good man who wasn't always a good father. Oh, good grief. This pain we're forced to forever make peace with. Thank you.
Ebony, I love you. Like, thank you so much for sharing those pieces, especially that last one. That's amazing. Like, I'm gonna run over to your house and hug you in like 10 minutes because you're brilliant. Oh my goodness. Shut up. And we will close out the reading with dear friend, dancing partner, and comadre sister, Laurie and Guerrero. Yeah.
Thank you, Lupa. I just want to say what an honor to read with y'all. This has been amazing so far. So thank you for including me. I mentioned to Lupa earlier that I'm reading completely new stuff. And it's from my new manuscript, which is it's a manuscript that in which I'm sort of exploring what is inherited through specifically women. And it was a manuscript I started in 2016, 2017. But because I thought I wasn't writing and I felt like I needed to work with my hands, and the first thing that I knew to do was to embroider, which I learned to do when I was 5 or 6 years old. And so I started doing these embroidery pieces, which I'm going to show you. This one actually was the first one. So I've got this one. I don't know if you can see the detail, but so that's one. This one is called Anatomy of the Breast. And then this one is actually the title piece of the manuscript, which is called Red Work. So I started doing these designs, and thank you. And as I was working on them, I was also, the poem started coming, and it became this whole project. So hold on, this is all messed up. I don't know what I did. I can't see anything. Okay. Yeah, I don't know what I did. Okay. So I'm going to read some poems from this manuscript, and I mean, there's so much about it, but I'm just going to read just a couple of poems. But I'm going to start with one of the things that I created was an artist statement for these embroidered pieces. So I'm going to read a couple of pieces from the artist statement. Oh, I should say that this kind of embroidery is called red work. It's done all in red. It's also the title of the manuscript. So, artist statement. Thread, red, divisible by 6 strands, unraveled for the needle, then sewn. Tool for and product of a magic contained within the unvalued body and the unvalued body of work. Body as its own institution, world unto itself, both creator and destroyer, both perpetrator and victim, vessel of both dream and lung. Its ability to act, fortify itself in situations meant to destroy it, heal, perpetuate life. A carnival of response, fever, triggers, expulsion, but also compassion and the making of milk and insulin and empathy, where both the flesh's orgasm and the soul's grief are experienced simultaneously. Matrix. The only thing I recognized was her voice. 20 hours into my first labor, I was willing to sacrifice even the baby. The doctors, the nurses, the child's father, I begged them all, let us go. My mother held my hand. The only thing I recognized was her voice. When the time comes, she said, your body will know what to do. How quietly our trust began. Artist statement, this is the second part. I didn't know what else to do. Seeds on a scrap of fabric that would limn a bigger picture, a face, a body, a hand, to represent a life, mine, born to a family, a man and a woman who loved each other once, who came from a city, a state, where they, their parents worked the land, were a people, loved and hated in a country now decomposing, hiding its face in shame. A shadowed cartography on the earth's surface. I was a little thing, a contributor, working with, working through, working around. 3. At the DMC Embroidery Archive in Mulhouse, France, Elaine, the archivist, held out with her white-gloved hands a small box of white embroidery thread spooled into 24 small rounds the size of infant hearts, dated late 1800s. It was beautiful. Juliette, her co-worker, was there to translate her words that I did not understand. Where, I asked, did the cotton come from? Elaine responded in French. Juliette translated, the American South. This poem is called My Daughters Become Women. There is no need to explain fire to fire. The way it starts, sparked into being and roaring, is maintained, both needed and feared, longing to spread itself, searing what gets too close, how it will burn itself out. Their bodies know the heat already, are brought forth twisting, navigating my own red and wild composition, their context. There is nothing of this matrix they do not already know. The once and future king writes a letter to her daughters. You will read many books, and the titles will stick in your head long after the story becomes irrelevant. Go ahead and rewrite whatever you wish. You laughed when I turned the ivy to let its small leaves pull toward the sun in the kitchen window. You are gone now. I still turn the plant. With this ritual, I am turning you toward the light. You might try all the recipes we inherited, but more often you will move blind, tossing cards in the air. This will need honey, that will need salt. You are right to choose faith in your own tongue. You will sing with a voice you won't recognize until you are 43, but trust you will recognize it. And in doing so, you will recognize your mother's voice and your grandmother's all. You will lose your job, your faith, your temper, your desire, even at times. You will lose at poker, a lover. Your shit and your head may be on the same day. Come back to me. I will tell you what my mama told me. And this is the last one. It's called Red Work. To forgive over and over the insufficient red was to forgive myself over and over for loving it. The gift was in the repetition. Though my fingers bled and the bowing of my head for the stitch made knots of my eyes, my neck a twisted and dying root, I held still for the work. What came a long way to be mine and good, piercing, map making, naming, one breath, another. I love you with my hands, stretching, skins, the needle, the thread, the suture, the art of us, the process, a god of something, something like empathy. That's all. Thank you very much.
Oh my goodness, like an absolute treasure. Like this, I can't even. This is amazing. Laurie, seriously. Like Ebony, seriously. Rodney, shut up. I feel like this is like masterclass, like really great, beautiful work. I love that Rodney changed his picture midway through where he's like facing the rest of us. I love that. Whole time I was like, oh, Rodney changed. Ebony, Laurie, Rodney, shut up. Okay. I'm half crying. All the work, so beautiful. Like, seriously, beautiful. Oh my God. I love that this was tonight. Like, I was low energy because the week's been crazy, but like, this is so uplifting. Ebony, you're absolutely right. Like, Laurie, thank you. Those new pieces, brilliant. Rodney, your work, holy shit. All right, so I'm gonna end with a poem, and then we'll get to the talk piece. Are y'all comfortable? Everybody okay? Yeah. Okay, cool. Jesus don't like. So this is. I wrote this poem, imagining, like, if Jesus showed back up now, and he'd be like, "The fuck are y'all doing?" But this is how I like pictured it. So it's a short piece. Jesus don't like white rooms, white girls barefoot, nails, spears of destiny, crosses, harps, burning bushes, wings, stained glass, the color of royalty, prayer before war, midnight misas, sour grapes, ashes on your forehead, thorns, being dunked into a river, mangers, having to wake up in a cave, wooden objects, being lied to. When you send the cops after him, crowns, metal, initials, portraits, statues, white statues, the way you treat money, the way you treat women, hammers, angels with messages, swords, leather, the time it takes to say a rosario, a rosary in Spanish, in English, in Latin, a rosary, the choir lady who jumps the beat half a measure in, your church fund, the way you treat the old, the way you treat children, the gospel according to you, lit candles, Sunday mornings, Christmas, Easter, Palm Sunday, Black Friday, a splinter in your eye, a log in his, rocks, whips, crowds, gold lamps, parables, tongues on fire, how you act before you go to church, your church, his church, taxes, bingo after service, walking alone in a garden, in a desert, on water, dinner by himself. It's a short piece. Y'all can go back.
Yes.
Yo,
Yes.
I am like absolutely astounded and always impressed. Like each one of these readings has been like uniquely awesome because selfishly I get to hear like all the favorite folks that I don't get to see in the same space, and so it's like an amazing opportunity, and so thank you for this chance. So the question for the evening, right? And it's just about to be 8 o'clock, so it's a shorter reading. How long have you been working on like the latest things you've been working on? And what are these projects like? And is there like a end mark? Like and the reason I say that is I spent like the last, I don't know, 7 years working on a book that I'm shopping around now. And I was like, okay, and I'm not going to write anything else to it. I'm not going to add to it. I'm just going to put it out there and see what happens. And so it's in the wrap it up and put it out there phase. And so I'm moving on to other projects, but like a part of me still wants to like go back to some things and tweak, but I know I can't. I mean, I could, but I won't. But so like, what are your newer projects, and like how long have you been on them, and does it seem like the light at the end of the tunnel is happening?
I'll go ahead and jump in first.
Yeah.
If you don't mind.
Yeah.
So this manuscript that I'm working on, I started in 2016 into 2017. And I gave myself to the end of this year to finish it. So I'm most of the editing is done, the text, but I'm embroidering like hardcore right now because I'm doing a 3x4 foot piece that's just it takes up all my time. So any little bit of any chance I have, I'm just working. But that's my own deadline. I've got a couple of publishers that have shown some interest. I can't even think about that yet. I'm just trying to finish it. So that's all. That's where I'm at.
Legit respect. That's makes sense. That's
Thanks.
perfect. Rodney, Ebony.
I can go. So I mentioned that the project I'm working on now is sort of I guess it's like it's heavily research based. So I'm doing all the research, and so I've been fortunate to get a little bit of funding to do some traveling. So like during the whole pandemic, I was super paranoid. So I'm like the guy that's still wearing a mask to go places, but now that things have calmed down, like I feel like I can go travel finally. So I've been working on it since the last one. So I want to say 2020, since 2020. And it's turning out, I think, to be like 3 separate collections. It's like one project, like 3 separate pieces. So I'm not really sure how they're going to fit in. I'm not sure what the endpoint is. I just know I need to do a lot more research and just keep writing. So I'm not worried about like publishing stuff, sending out stuff, any of that. I'm just worried about like just doing what I need to do to like right now it still like feels very embryonic. Like I don't really know where it's gonna finally go, but I just know that there's like 3 separate like children coming out of it, and this one is like more like visual. It's gonna be like a lot of graphic pieces, artwork, things like that with poetry. And then this other one's going to be like, it's going to be like more typical poetry, like the stuff that I just read. And then the other one's going to be like lyric essays and just more experimental kind of stuff. So yeah, I don't know where the ending is, but that's what I'm at.
Have you performed, like, aside of this, the four of us, like, have you performed any of it in any other place, any other venues or anything?
No, I've had some, like a few pieces have been published, but usually I publish a lot. And so it's just like I decided I'm just going to send a few things out, but I've never read them out loud.
So
And
this
even
is like,
even reading them, I'm like, I don't really it could go a different way. I need to edit that stuff. So it's still, still very, very new, very newish.
this was
Yeah.
good. So yeah, this is awesome. Ebony, yeah. What are you working on?
Yeah, I'm just so curious about how Rodney's brain works, actually. But I am working on, I just did a round of submissions for chapbook contests because I don't ever usually do that at all. Like, that's not my jam. I don't like rejection. And I have like a hang up from when, I was an undergrad and as an English major, and one of my professors told me that I wasn't a good writer. So I don't necessarily submit to anything of that sort. So I've been working and pushing myself to do that. And so the poems that I read, the first two are a part of a chapbook manuscript. And then the last one, I really want to turn it into, I want to turn it into a manuscript or some type of chapbook, if you will. But its ultimate goal, I think it would be really nice to get like a one-woman show out of it, where I just talk about the different stages of grief and things that we grieve, and also what am I running from? Because I feel like that's a part of it, and I owe the theater community a trilogy. So I only have 2 one-woman shows, and they would love a trilogy of a sorts for it to be the third one. And I think that's what I'm going to do with it. So I've been looking out for residencies and different places where I can just get some undivided time to write and work on this new work.
Oh my God, that's brilliant. Also, let's talk because, oh my God, yes. My brain's like, ideas, residencies, boom, boom, boom. So that's like totally, absolutely, holy shit, y'all. I was supposed to be educational, maybe high school kids. Just bleep that out, teacher. At whatever time this is at, don't have that on the video. Just cut that part out. So hopefully you reviewed this with some care. That's remarkable. I am absolutely humbled by all of your work. Like, it's really, really great. Do y'all have any questions for each other or for me, or this is like an opportunity to have a conversation in those regards. I know this is like, I don't know, Laurie and Rodney, if y'all read together. Ebony, we've read together once, and so I love the opportunity to be able to read with you again. Laurie, I think the last time we read together was maybe Canto. And Rodney, I think
I want to say I feel like I've read with Rodney before, but I don't think so. I know we've been in the same spaces before, but I don't know if we've ever read together.
Yeah, I don't think so.
So this is the first. Yeah. Okay. So I'm just gonna play real chill and be like,
and it was really great too to hear Ebony and to meet her and to be part of this with
Thank you.
Being introduced to a new voice. So I really appreciate that. And powerful voice. Yeah.
Such amazing.
Thank you so much.
So if no questions and nothing else, it is like 8:06 and we could call it a night, because this has been a great reading and it's jam-packed. And whatever.
I just want to say that I think it's really great, Lupa, what you're doing and how you've able to sort of wrangle this, and create this thing. It's not easy. I know it's not easy to, and to all over the state of Texas. That takes a lot of time and it takes a lot of dedication and, with a family and, I know how hard it is. So I shout out to you, and props to you for doing that, and also to your family for being so supportive, Jasmine being so supportive of your work. I mean, I know how just the way you two work is goals, but for real. But it's an honor to be included, and I'm just very proud of you and for you.
I'm proud of y'all, and thank y'all so much. And I love you for doing this, all of you. When I said, so those of you that are watching this video, when I sent out the original email, it was like, hey, do you want to be a part of this? I literally thought, I was like, I might get maybe like 4 people, but like all 18 people that I emailed all came back with a yes. And I was like in tears with every single, and like everybody messaged within like a week. Like when I sent out the email, like a week later, everybody came back with a yes, and I was astounded. And so a credit to y'all, and thank you for your faith in my crazy ideas and me waving my arms all day. It's a pleasure. I don't get to see, we're so busy like doing all these amazing writing things and teaching and training and traveling. It's a great opportunity to get to spend time with y'all. And thank you for being part of community. So your familia, like forever and a day. So whatever you need from me, please let me know how I can be in support of your work. To everybody that's watching, be jealous of this, because we do great things. If you're another poet that's somewhere that's watching this, please send them messages. They're all over the internets. Lorianne's got a Twitter, Ebony's everywhere. Like, I love seeing all your posts all the time. And Rodney's on Facebook and Instagram. Not Instagram.
I'm not like in social media anymore. I'm like, maybe I'm just Facebook.
Yeah. So go to El Face, and we do.
Rodney, is it under your name?
Oh,
go ahead.
Sorry. Just real quick, just because you mentioned not being on social media, do you feel like getting off of social media has helped your writing?
Yes.
Me too. I got off of social media 4 years ago, and I do keep a Twitter just so I can keep up with my 21-year-old who lives in Austin. And that's it. Like I don't really scroll, or I check her shit and that's it, but I don't do social media anymore, and it's been 4 years and it's changed everything.
I agree. Yeah, it's just, I mean, it's too easy to get caught up in and spending too much time on for me. So I was like, I don't want to do it.
I'll definitely have to I'm gonna have to take y'all's advice on that, because I kind of feel like my work doesn't necessarily, with performance poetry type shit, I don't know if it necessarily can live without social media, but maybe that's just my own like ways of thinking. I was going to ask Rodney, how can I stalk you if you're not on social media? Like, how can I?
That's a good question. I don't know.
Rodney, what's your website? Tell everybody your website.
Yeah.
You gotta give her your address so she can wait outside your door. Old school stalking. Tell her what grocery store you go to. I'm just kidding.
I don't know.
You may be serious.
That's a good question. I mean, I just post updates on the web, but you can always find me on Facebook. I know that's like old fashioned, but yeah, I'm on Facebook.
Okay.
Yeah.
That'll work. So I guess the same, yes, I could let go of the social media. I guess right now I can't because of the position. Like, I'm constantly posting. I put out more than I consume. And if I am consuming, it's like news. So it's like articles and links and I'm like literary Twitter. So like every aspect of literary Twitter, or like literary Instagram, or like literary TikTok, like I am like seeing what other people are doing across the country, and like books they're referencing and things that they're reading and articles that came up, and like whatever thing that Button Poetry is putting out, or Lit Hub is putting out, or whoever, like that's how I'm mostly consuming. And so that kind of helps. But when I'm writing, I don't post a whole ton, but I do scroll for articles, if that makes any sense. Like I stopped watching the news. I literally just go like NBC or CBS or whatever and go to TikTok, because their news segments are 3 minutes long anyways, and TikTok videos are 3 minutes long. So they just shoved over their segments onto TikTok. And so I'm like, oh, I'm just watching the news. So little things like that, I think, is how I'm watching that. But I don't post a whole ton all the time. Today I did, though, because there was a lot of stuff that happened. So I was like,
Oh yeah, congratulations on the
yeah, hi. So anybody watching this video, like today was, so the reading today, tomorrow I'm doing a collaborative poetry ekphrastic thing with the Houston Grand Opera. We just had the press release that came out that Chispas Comics is happening, and Jasmine and I are writing a comic book, which is like a kid dream. So
Oh,
we're
wow.
writing like one of 13 brand new comics that's going to come out. Half
That's
will
so dope.
debut, right? The half will debut at the San Diego Comic-Con. And then the other half will debut at the New York Comic-Con. So I don't know where we fall in that, but we have to, like, our first like deadline is February. So like Jasmine and I are having nerdy like comic book. She keeps looking at me like, what in the hell did I just sign up for? And I'm like, so there's that. And like I'm still the poet laureate stuff next week. I'm going to Baytown. So I put out a registration link to do the workshop with the Promise Center there in Baytown. And so lots of stuff just like came down to this. Saturday, I'm doing the school district here is hosting a summit for undocumented students for resource building for them to go to college. And so I'm providing a workshop and doing poetry for the summit on Saturday. So it's just like all sorts of stuff just happening today. And so, but I really am glad that we got to spend the night together and read these poems. And whoever you are in the public, we hope you like the work you got. And yes, fingers in the camera. Y'all are brilliant. I love all of you. Thank you so much. And now we wave good night.
Good night.
Goodbye.
Bye, y'all. Have a good night. And thank you so much. We'll be in touch. Bye.
Yeah. Proud to know you, Lupe.
Proud to know you all. I love you.